Hello and a very warm welcome from ET Studios, ET Education and Coursera. I'm Devina Lasson and today we're here to deep dive into the fascinating topic of advancing higher education, curriculum to careers. Now we will delve into the evolving shifts in the higher education space, encompassing the growth of online education, the significance of industry micro-credentials, the influence of AI and ChatGPT on the teaching and learning methods, as well as their impact on the future job market and so much more. So to discuss this and to understand how public universities who cater to lakhs of students each year facing the challenge of creating employable graduates, we have with us today a very esteemed panel of guests. Dr. Arun Mohan, Director, IIT Lucknow. Professor Anand Srivastava, Vice Chancellor, Netaji Subhas University of Technology. Professor Eqbal Hussain, Vice Chancellor, Jamia Millia, Islamia. And Prashasti Rastogi, Director, Coursera. Welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to have all of you here today. Thank you so much for joining. We're here to talk about a very interesting and very important topic, which is ultimately shifting. It's the modern education system and shifting from curriculum to careers. So welcome all of you. Thank you for being here. So professors, doctor, of course we have our very valuable members from Coursera. Let's kickstart really with a bang. So there's been so much evolution, of course, in the education space. Can you start by laying a foundation and tell us how you're adapting to the new guidelines, the NEP guidelines that are out there? How are you adapting to them? And how do you see your curriculum moving forward, especially keeping in mind now there are the options for multidisciplinary, so much percentage of the courses are going online. So what does it take to really adapt to the evolving education landscape? Doctor, we can start with you.
See, as far as NEP is concerned, the focus is on multidisciplinary education. And in Indian education system, till date, there is a crisis of qualified faculty members. But we have some online courses available through some portals like NPTEL, edX, Coursera. So we are taking help of such type of MOOCs available in the market, and it's easily available. And the best part is the sessions are delivered by the best professors available across the globe. And the another feature of NEP is the integration of skill-based education and the traditional mode of education. So the short courses and the courses related with lifelong learning, the courses related with the demand of industry, it's available on the platforms like Coursera. So we are taking help of such type of platforms. And if you will see the Government of India policy, now we can offer up to 40% courses in online mode. So that is the plus point of NEP. Yes. We can take help of the online courses available, recorded by the best professor available across the globe. And the another important feature of NEP is the credit-based education. And Government of India, they created Academic Bank of Credit, where the institute is supposed to deposit the credit earned by the student on that particular bank. And any institute, because the another feature of NEP is the flexibility. A student can move from one institute to another institute. They can move from one stream to another stream. And somehow we feel, because my institute is basically known for IT education in the country. So we are using this IT-based tool, IT-based education as much as possible.
Wonderful, very inspiring. Thank you for that, Doctor. Professor Anand, let's get you in on this. How are you adapting to the changes in the educational system in India?
Yeah, so education landscape is changing.
Yes.
Some of the points have been mentioned by Professor Sherry. Digital transformation, introduction of AI, making the course flexible, accessible anytime, anywhere. A couple of things I'd like to add. Multidisciplinary. Now, if you have knowledge of different disciplines, unlike earlier times when you were expert in some particular discipline, so you will be able to connect the dots together very easily once you have knowledge of different disciplines. So there are a lot of such courses where people do minor in different technologies. For example, Electronics and communication engineering student will do minor in satellite technology, will do minor in AI stuff, for example. So there are different areas where he can do the minor in. The other point is we want to encourage incubation, which is also supported by NEP. We want to have an incubation and entrepreneurship ecosystem in the whole country. The third thing what we are doing is we are having industry connect. Our courses have some industry component there, so that employability increases. There's a little the match between the expertise what we have or what we give and the expertise required by the industry is is lessened. So this is one thing, and of course we focus on blended learning, both hybrid, that is online as well as offline, because online also has some advantages. So these are some additional things.
Wonderful. Thank you, Professor. We're going to circle back to you. It's very interesting about all the provisions you're putting in place to ensure employability of your students, because, of course, that's what it's about ultimately. So we'll come back to you on that. Before that, Professor Iqbal, anything you'd like to add on how you're really adapting to the new guidelines put in place by the NEP?
You see, the time is changing, and accordingly, the education system keeps on changing to meet the challenges of the society. Earlier, the purpose of the education is just a knowledge. Now, the purpose of education, one of the most important purpose is employability. So, employment is one of the most important purpose for which the society or the nation wants that we can align our education system in such a way that it can give more and more employment to the people in the society. That is the new thing. That is why I said in the very outset that there is a paradigm shift of the educational system. Whatever the curriculum we have, at the time of making the curriculum, we have to in touch with the industry people, isn't it? That what is the trend of the technology in the industry and what is the requirement of the industry, we can align our courses and the syllabus with the industry requirement.
Right, thank you, Professor. Prashasti, let's get you in on this, because now we have so many very pertinent points that all of our professors have put forward. From your vantage point at Coursera, working across organizations, across courses, and of course, technology very much being at the heart of everything that you do, how do you see organizations, institutions really keeping up with the latest trends and the requirements in the education sector today?
Yeah, thanks, Davina. So India Incorporation wants to become a majority player in the global south, right? And that involves a lot of human capital development requirement, and at the same time a lot of human computer interaction possibilities have opened up to make sure that the workforce is not only job seekers but they're also job creators, and we're at the forefront of technology. The current government is very focused on tech-enabled sectors. And all this poses a huge responsibility on some of the professors who are sitting in the room, because they are actually developing those future citizens who are going to fulfill the dream of a $5 trillion economy. And in that space, NEP is a big leap. I would say it is the digital transformation of the higher education system. Not only higher education, it's relevant to school education as well, but it's primarily very, very pronounced in the higher education system. And I'll borrow from what Professor Hussain was talking about, industry-academia linkage. So there is a need for making curriculums agile, strengthening the academic excellence so much that the students who are learning today have a role to play in the real world when they pass out. Because the industry still now were operating in a different space. Higher education was operating in more fundamental space. Applied learning has become of significance. And this is why bringing industry back into the classroom and making sure that the curriculums are agile enough to adopt it is of significance, which obviously when we say that 40% of the curriculums can be adopted from online medium, the thought process of the policymakers is very clear that we will have a chase. The industry will move forward much faster then how we can redesign our curriculums. So let's create a space of opportunity by saying you don't have to wait for, redesigning your curriculums in a old fashion. Rather, let's adopt what's best available and make sure that the students are always prepared for the real world. So I think NEP is a huge, huge enabler, and it has really kickstarted the digital transformation era for education.
Absolutely wonderful. Yes, thanks for again setting that context so well for us. And professors, from everything that we've been discussing, surely, as Prashasti also says, it's in the hands of universities and leaders like yourself to really create the workforce of the future. And surely that comes with various challenges, despite the evolution, or maybe sometimes in evolving times there's even more moving parts to be kept in mind. So could you share some of the major challenges that you face today when it comes to creating the workforce of the future, Doctor?
See, the major problem is related with the faculty crisis.
Yes.
Faculty is available, but the faculty aligned towards National Education Policy 2020 with the open mindset, with the knowledge of the latest trend in the market, the demand of the industry. So there is a gap, and we feel the technology is the solution of such type of problems. Even the another challenge which India is facing is related with the gross enrollment ratio. If you will compare it with the developed countries, our gross enrollment ratio is at lower side. And to increase the gross enrollment ratio, there are two ways: either create more educational institute, the brick and mortar model. The second is the use of technology. So we feel that the use of technology is the best possible option if we want to increase the gross enrollment ratio. The another point is the skill-based education, the integration of skill-based education into the main curriculum. And the another problem which many institutions are facing is related with the shortage of infrastructure, the quality infrastructure which is required to impart the skill-based education.
So Dr. Arun, taking from one of your points, so really interesting. Can you help us understand how you gear up your faculty to be ready with all the emerging technology that, of course, every university is using, integrating into their programs? But as you mentioned, having concerns with faculty, be it in the number, but also in the future readiness.
At the same time, we are sending our faculty members for faculty development program. Even faculty development programs are available through platforms like NPTEL or Coursera or the MOOCs available. So faculty development is a continuous process in all prominent educational institutes in the country so that they can impart skill-based education to our youths.
Prashasti, maybe we can get you in on this. Any notable steps that Coursera is taking when it comes to faculty development?
Yeah, so we work with a lot of institutions around the globe to bring industry-aligned learning to the students. But a major part of the mandate is also to make sure that the faculty is upskilled at any given point of time. Because as the technology is changing or as the environment is changing, faculty is also facing a large skill gap. So Coursera platform also enables faculty not only in their domain experts, but also about how to teach digitally, how to deploy best teaching tools, how to do effective communication, how to do better research. Because one of the areas that NEP also talks quite pronounced about is employing research and development as one of the key pillars of an institution. So that faculty is producing more research, engaged in the future development, and they bring back that knowledge to classroom. So that's one of the areas where Coursera is pretty much deployed in most of the institutions. What we're also hearing is with the impetus of technology, universities also want to reach a larger student audience. And that audience could be on campus and off campus. So how do you ensure that your faculty, what is being delivered in the classroom, they're able to effectively deliver that across a wider audience through technology? Which means, can they build their online courses? Do they understand the pedagogy and instruction design of an online course? So how do we bring in a platform like Coursera to upskill them, not only in designing an online classroom, but also give them a tool which can disseminate an online classroom using the platform?
Yes, wonderful. Very exciting. Professor Anand, let's get you in on this again. So we're taking a look at the challenges that public universities especially are facing today when it comes to ensuring both their faculty, as Prashasti has put forward, but also, of course, the students ultimately are really ready for the workforce. So some of the biggest challenges that you can put forward.
Yeah, so mainly, I will highlight two challenges. There are many challenges, but first challenge is, we want to bring in industry flavor to our courses. Now, there are three possibilities. One is, you involve industry, they make the syllabus, they guide you how to teach a course, but that's a very short-term, solution. I mean, you lose the purpose of long-term education, so it's not a viable model. The second is, the industry gives you a project, you execute the project. And industry requirement is different, education people work in a different environment. Their goals are different. So again, this model has worked at some places, Stanford, Google's and all that, they came from Stanford campus, but it may or may not work, but one can try this. The third is, the industry, they become part of the education system, wherein they don't, get a product from outside and sort of replicate here, but they design their own product. And R&D comes, or the intellectual strength comes from the academic institution. And then you make a product which is for India. There are some specific requirements and also cost effective and things like that. Number two is about the course curriculum. So AI, everybody has mentioned, has taken the industry by storm. And there is no crystal ball. I don't know which direction it is going, right? So if you take a particular course, for example, I'll take example of a computer science, for example. So there are some graduate attributes of computer science, what a student is supposed to learn after 4 years. The second thing is program. It has got a number of courses. Program is a number of courses, internship, project and all that. The third is course design, what student will be taught. And the third is the teaching. Now the technology is affecting all these layers. Teaching, let us start now backwards. Teaching, a student, for example, earlier was supposed to generate some code, some solutions, some proof, some models and things like that. Now the ChatGPT does or AI does it. So, I mean, what do you teach then? So you have to change that style. Basically, you have to compact your core courses and introduce some new courses. So that is the challenge what we get. You go to the program. Program, again, you have to include some new courses. Faculty may not be prepared for it. The technology platform like Coursera will help here. And then we go to the third thing, which is the attributes. Probably the attribute will be the student is efficient in LLM, large scale modeling, large number modeling. So you have to change at each level. And with the kind of faculty we have, there are some older faculties, some new faculties. So you have to bring everybody on the same platform. So that's the challenge we face. So these are the two main challenges.
Okay, wonderful. Dr. Iqbal?
See, we are talking about in the main, our heading is the curriculum to the career. No doubt that after this NEP 2020 has come, there is a complete shift of our education system in the India to bring the excellence in the education system. I think the Coursera will be a kind of gift for us. that they can contribute their technology, their expertise in executing the excellence of the new technology and for the benefit of the NEP 2020.
Absolutely. So the role of online learning clearly is going to impact everything
course.
across the board. What about sort of micro credentials as well, as all the professors have mentioned, really giving your students that specific skill set they require to enter into the workforce? How do you see the role of micro credentials impacting the journey of the students to all the professors?
So micro credential is one of the important thing which will help students. But there are issues. We have to solve those issues. So let us understand what a micro credential is, what it is supposed to do. So it's a modular in structure. You have different modules, and the module should be such that you should be able to stack it. I mean, it's not take one module from here, one module from there. It doesn't work. It has to be stackable. It has to talk to the other modules. There has to be a link between the modules, and then it should be portable. Portable in the sense, suppose I have done some particular micro credential from University A. If I go to University B, they should accept it. The standard should be there so that they accept. Yeah, he has done a good course, a relevant course. The course is a good quality course, right? And third is, it has to be universal. Universal in the sense, you can have micro credential from a CEP, continuing education program, or from a private university, or from a agency which gives you some language courses, so that you take all these micro credentials and make into a bigger bigger credential. So micro credential is definitely a good way to go. It gives you a very quick solution to a quick solution and access to knowledge, and they're all relevant courses. For example, anybody who has studied manufacturing in India, done a course micro credential in India, and he wants to work in Japan, for example. So he'll do a micro credential where he will try to understand Japanese manufacturing companies. The third micro credential, he learns language, Japanese language. So once you combine this, then he's a good fit to work in a Japanese manufacturing company. So this is how micro credential is going to work. But then again, it's a chicken and egg story. People should adopt it, and when they will adopt it, when there is a recognition across everyone. Industry should recognize it. Other institutions will recognize it. So when there is a recognition of this, then probably industries will adopt, and there will be more value to it. So this is how the micro credential is going to work.
The another important point is now the focus is on lifelong learning. Even after completion of degree program or postgraduate degree program, if somebody wants to learn new technology or new trends in the field of industry or higher education, they can always go for micro credentials. So these are the short-term courses, and I think for lifelong learning, this is the best option available.
And just to add here, normally universities, they train the student for the first job. But we should aim at training the student for the last job, because he has a 35 years career. So we have to give different kind of exposure to him in terms of how a complex problem can be solved, critical thinking, creativity, how to work in a diverse environment. Those kind of skills are important, so that he's ready for the last job. Because technology, this is a VUCA word, right? Bani, VUCA, whatever you call it. Things are changing very fast. So the student should be able to adapt at any stage.
At any stage, absolutely. I see you nodding in agreement, Prashasti, and also it'll be great to get your perspective now. We've heard from the professors, of course, from everything from online learning to micro credentials, all the things that are working, also the challenges that they've been facing. So I'd love to get your perspective in at this point. And yeah, how do you really foresee Coursera fitting in to the clear requirements in the industry today?
Yeah, sure. I think I'd like to stitch what all the professors said together and create, industry micro-credentials are a crossover. They're a, bridge between where I am in my degree versus where I want to go in my career. Because we all realize, and I hear that in resonance from the professors here, that academic degrees are no longer royalty for life. You need to constantly change, learn, change, and grow, as we say in Coursera as well. And industry micro-credentials come to rescue. And the regulators have also realized that, which is why a national skill qualification framework, NSQF, has been designed to ensure that the industry micro-credentials are validated, they are recognized, there's a leveling that is done, plus equivalence of credits is established. And we've seen that internationally happen. At Coursera a couple of years ago, we realized that quite early because we train corporations also. So we went to the best-in-class industry partners and said, there is a severe need of role-based upskilling. Students not only need hand-holding on what roles to prepare for, they also need to understand what are the fundamental and practical skills that are required to deliver and be fit for that job. And Coursera created about 125 micro-credentials in that process with about 150 industry partners. So if I'm a student and I want to aspire for a job of cybersecurity specialist, I have a choice to train either with Microsoft or with Google and acquire the right skill sets, apply that learning by use of projects and the labs, and then certify myself from that industry and then go and show my validation that I am ready for the role. And as a student, I also have the power to do multiple micro-credentials and prepare myself for a diverse role, which will require multiple skills to be delivered in my job. And this obviously can happen lifelong. National Skill Qualification Framework also allows these micro-credentials to be delivered for credit. The students we talked to, about 86% of the students said, I want industry micro-credentials to be part of my program, and I want them to be accepted for credit because that is the relevant education I need to be employable. So that's how this journey came about. And we've seen this trend play around globally. American Council of Education has also recognized industry micro-credentials delivered on the Coursera platform for credit. So a lot of international universities are accepting those credits as entry pathways. In India, we see the same trend coming up with IITs and institutions of eminence as well. And with the National Skill Qualification Framework, we're also able to get NQRs for these industry micro-credentials which are being delivered on the Coursera platform. So there is a whole ecosystem brewing because how much can you reach the industry for every subject, but can industry scalably reach across the students with these micro-credentials is becoming of keen importance.
Absolutely. And speaking, of course, of scalability, as we slowly come to the close of the conversation, we must really inquire into, of course, the role of AI, ChatGPT, and so on, and how, from all of your perspectives, Prashasti, would be great to kickstart with you. How do you really see the integration of all this emerging technology, both in the learning as well as the teaching methodologies? I'd love to get some perspective on that.
There's a report published by World Economic Forum on the impact of generative AI across professions. And the topmost profession that gets impacted by generative AI is education and training. Most disruption will happen in the education and training domain because it becomes a source of knowledge, it becomes a source of inquiry for any learner around the world. But at the same time, generative AI also being seen as a threat to academic integrity. At Coursera, we realized that it's a huge enabler for increasing the academic outcomes. So in 2023, early 2023, Coursera kick-started Project Genesis. It's now a Harvard Business School case study, recently published Coursera's foray into Gen AI. And we realized that generative AI can do multiple things. It can enable access in multiple languages at the fraction of a cost. It can enable a 24/7 tutor for learners to be able to ask doubts, clarify small questions to career relevance. Thirdly, it can give the power back in the hands of educators to create new content or package existing content into adaptive learning modules. Adaptive learning is supremely important in a super specialized world. Localization is important, but at the same time, a global perspective is possible. So these three mandates that Coursera took upon themselves gave birth to a Coursera coach, a course builder for faculty, and machine-assisted translations into multiple languages. As a result of that, Coursera's courses are now available in Hindi as well. So I think generative AI is really the fuel to the fire that the world was looking for. It disrupts jobs, which means you need to acquire new skills. So curriculums need to move and upskill from just AI education to generative AI-based education. And faculty will be at the center of it, so they need to upskill themselves in the technology.
Professor Anand, your take as we come to a close on the role and the real impact of emerging technologies, AI, ChatGPT, and so on both the learning and the teaching processes.
Yeah, so AI and ChatGPT is taking the world by storm, and there is no clear answer at this point of time. But things are evolving. So as I mentioned, education is now digital, it is diverse, it is disruptive, it is data-centric, it is driven by vision. So a lot of D's here, right? So AI, as I mentioned, that course curriculum has to change now. Because most of the thing is done by the AI. I mean, students should not spend their time, but then there is a caveat to this. Suppose he does not learn the basic things, how can he solve a complex problem? Which probably AI has, there is a challenge, even from ChatGPT point of view. So jury is out whether those traditional learning outcomes are required or not required, but things will evolve. And I think in the end, the fundamental courses, for example, in computer science, similarly in other courses, the core courses, the traditional core courses, they will become compact because AI and ChatGPT will take over. And then some new technology you have to build into the system.
See, the best use of AI as far as higher education or education is concerned, now students can design their own degree, which is a unique feature of the use of AI in the field of education. Earlier, even till date, there is a prescribed curriculum for every degree program or postgraduate program. But after the implementation of NEP 2020 in India and the use of AI in the field of education, now there is a flexibility. A student can design their own degree. They can learn at their own pace. There are some slow learners, there are some fast learners, there are average learners. So after the implementation of NEP, there is a flexibility because now the education is credit-based education.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, to all our panelists on that note, thank you so much for being here and really imparting all your various points of views and your deep experience and future vision for curriculum to careers and what the future of education in India looks like. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on that note, that's all we have for you in this fascinating episode, but do stay tuned to ET Studios and ET Education for many more in-depth conversations. Until next time, many thanks for watching.